So as we all know, Osu is a very fun game. You're going to be listening to the music, you're going to be clicking your circles to the beat. If you got the seasonal backgrounds on, you're going to be clicking the circles to the meat. But if you're going to be playing Osu, you're going to be having a lot of fun, right? And with fun things come with the potential for addiction. So when we use drugs, for example, we're going to be smoking that pot, that's marijuana, we're going to be smoking that joint, and we're going to have a very good time. And the same applies for Osu game. Maybe you're going to be taking some crack, amphetamines, Adderall, methamphetamines, you're going to be taking all them joints, and you're going to be having a great time. But you can also get extremely addicted. And in this video, I want to talk about this very sad story that I came across in the Osu game subreddit, where it was basically someone giving their story about Osu game where they got very addicted to it because they were competing with some friends, and it essentially crippled them for a pretty bad time and they severely regret it. And I'm just going to read you guys a Reddit post really quick, and I just want y'all to buckle down because this is a very long one. So let's just get into it. I wish I never played this game. I originally was not going to say or make anything, but I just wanted to share my story to warn others while I still had the strength. I also know that there are a lot of people who would never even get close to how far I went, so take that as you will. To preface, I've always struggled with self-control growing up. It's something I've had since I was like 13, 14, and I know that a lot of people out there definitely could have been smart enough to know when to stop. That being said, playing this game ruined my life. I made an account in 2017 Cookie Z era, didn't really get active in the community until 2018, 2019 when my friend challenged me to beat his rank. We used to verse each other on mobile rhythm games, Citus, Arcadia, Ets, and I would always beat him because I'm the GOAT. Huge fan of rhythm game music, by the way. Then one day he was like, you should see if you can beat me in Osu, then you'll be truly better than me. And I thought it was like a calling from the rhythm game gods to defeat him. He was like 50k at the time, and around the time it was so easy to rank up fast, so I took him up on that bet. I was 17 when I started seriously playing Osu, had a laptop and a cheap tablet I bought from Amazon. I also never played any PC games other than Roblox, so it was something big for me. I played pretty often. I used to love farm maps because they were simple. I loved maps from Sotarks, Armin, Nevo, Brewisi, Kuki, Lami, and a lot of others that I don't remember off the top of my head. The OGs of jump farming. I took farming very seriously, and I really didn't broaden the scope of my skills like at all. All I did was farm. I remember being frustrated at Osu so many times and being so unhappy with my progress that I would just not stop playing until I felt like I was better. I always thought I could be a top player one day, so the grind was an everyday thing after school. And that's when the pain in my right hand started. To make context, when I played, I aimed with my right hand and tapped with my left. There were multiple days where I would feel like it was my hand was aching and was sore from moving it around the tablet, but I would never pay too much attention to it since it went away after a few hours. The hours turned into waiting until the next day, and eventually it got to a point where my hand would be tingling and numb after I played. It didn't feel wrong though, since it usually went away, so I would just wait until my hand was feeling better. Keep in mind, I never stretched once since nobody told me to, and my tablet area was always super small, so you can imagine that I was not doing any justice to my hands. And just a brief pause right here. I know you guys would hate hearing this pause, but stretching in Osu is pretty important sometimes, where you're going to be stretching while you're going to be playing in between sessions. Maybe you took a really long break and you have to stretch because your fingers are kind of just compressed with your muscles when you just tap it against the keyboard. And stretching is pretty important sometimes. Personally, I don't stretch as much as I should do for Osu, but I stretch just my body overall, so I recommend stretching here. One day, I beat my friend using a laptop. I was so proud of myself that it didn't even matter about my hand pain. I was 19. It took me 2 whole years to beat this MF. I was also in college by this time, but I was still broke, so my setup was still a laptop. Once I told him I beat him, he had already quit the game months before I finally passed him, and he told me that he didn't really want to play anymore, but that he had friends who played and were higher than me. The highest guy was like 9k. The only thing I thought of was another challenge. In all honesty, this is where I should have stopped, but I was stupid and kept going. This new friend group was toxic, really toxic. They were always trying to compete with me and always put me down as the worst player by sniping my scores. I took everything they did and said to heart. I didn't know any better. This is incredibly stressful for me, and I started losing hair because of it. I was also very unreasonable and would lash out at them for stupid things. I was going through some medication changes for ADHD at the time, so my emotions weren't entirely right. I never had my priorities in line though, and the only thing I could think about when I came back from class was to play the game so I could beat them. It's like my dopamine levels constantly need to be satisfied by clicking stupid circles. So that is pretty much addiction right there. I know I'm pausing again, but yeah, if you just play Osu a lot, that your dopamine's like, dude, I only get my dopamine spike from playing Osu, then yeah, you're gonna get addicted to it. So let's just continue on. I think it was around the time I had just turned 20 when I first felt my first nerve pinch. I was in the middle of playing Osu, was not giving myself any breaks, and I felt something pinch on my right wrist. My first 3 fingers went totally numb and I freaked out. Called my parents and told them what was happening. They shrugged it off, but I knew something was seriously wrong. I went to CVS and picked up a wrist brace and cried myself to sleep. Stopped playing the game for a while. I self-diagnosed with carpal tunnel and refused to play the game until I got some medical attention. It was heartbreaking though, because I've never put more effort into a game than I did with OSU. I was pursuing a software engineering degree at the time, graduating now by the way, and I genuinely thought my life was over because I messed up my wrist. I couldn't sleep on my right side anymore, still can't, because my hand would get prickly and numb. It took me a few months to feel somewhat normal again. I went to physical therapy and the doctor said I didn't have CTS, which I didn't really believe, but was assuring in a way, I guess. I should have taken that as a sign to totally stop, but I didn't. This one friend from my OSU friend group told me that even though there's a way for me to keep playing, he even said that I could wear my wrist brace while I played, and I took the damn bait and I became a full area player, rocking a Zuti tablet and a new HyperX keyboard. Instead of using my wrist, I was using my elbow and a rotator cuff. I was a server at the time. I was racking up new money for a PC, but I also was about 2K in debt from being a victim of a cash fraud case at the same time. I'm stupid. I eventually did get enough money though, and I finally got an actual PC, and that's when I started playing OSU seriously again. I don't know why I kept going just to beat a stupid rank, but this is when I started hating the game. Getting higher and higher scores started to become a mountain or a challenge for me to climb, and there would be times when my hand would get sore again. I would have to take breaks. My left hand was also starting to get sore, and I felt so hopeless not being able to get as good as my one friend who was like 9K, and all I did was want to prove him wrong by getting a 400 PP play. That was my goal. I was playing all types of maps that I didn't like over and over again until I finally FC'd. One day, I finally beat that MF 10 times over. Everyone in that friend group had also stopped playing by the time I beat them, so I was alone in the community again. But I didn't want to stop there. I wanted to see how far I could get. That's when the pain really started to get bad. I started feeling numbness in my pinky and ring finger and my right hand, and my shoulder started to get really sore. It used to be difficult to put pressure or lean on my right side, but now it was almost impossible without feeling racks of pain down my entire arm. I was crippling myself. I also want to mention that playing this game did zero justice to my relationships with my friends. There were multiple times where I hurt my roomies by yelling at them or lashing out at them because of something related to OSU, and I always wonder why they never tried to pick up the game to play with me, but I can clearly see it now. We're all good friends to this day, but this doesn't go saying that it took a lot of self-growth and therapy. I remember my therapist saying I should quit the game for good, and I just flat out ignored her, and it makes me feel miserable now that I think about it. I was getting into tournaments for some time, and I sucked balls at them considering I only played farm maps. I was only a no mod 1 player and nothing else. And honestly just made me feel worthless, and like the only way I can make it up was by being active in tournaments and practicing different map pools. My last experience of OSU was when I was in 2 tournaments, a Donut Cup and June tournament. I was experiencing pretty bad shoulder pain at the time, and my hands and wrists were also getting pretty bad. There was one night where I was in pain just by lying down, and it kept on being like that until I didn't get any sleep one night, and I was in so much pain I broke down in tears and threw away my setup, deleted the game, left the tournaments I was in, told everyone quit W, and that's it. I had finally quit. It took me until one sleepless night to finally quit for good. I'm 22 now. I'm going to physical therapy again, this time for my hands and right shoulder. I'm getting an EMG on Monday to see if I have any serious damage on my right and left hand nerve wise. I always thought I'll be some coding genius by the time I was 22, but now I'm just a stupid cripple. I can't even be on my computer with wrist supports, ergo mouse and keyboard, and a brace on without feeling pain after 30-45 minutes, and I am miserable. I live off of painkillers now. I also don't have a job since all I fucking did was play this game and never actually worked hard to get something out of my degree. I'm trying to make up for it now, but it's so difficult and I have so much regret. I'm trying to live life, but it's getting so hard to wake up and do something every day. I hope that whatever happens at physical therapy gives me some type of relief, since all I do is stretch most of the day and still feel pain all the time. I go to sleep in pain and wake up feeling sore. I move my hands and my shoulders and I feel the literal muscle moves like they're about to fall off. The motor functions in my right hand are significantly slower than in my left, and I'm 99% sure I have tendonitis in my right thumb. And it was incredibly difficult to type out this article. It just hurts so much. All of this, and I'm 22. I'm only 22. It's so hard. Finding a willing to live is my biggest challenge right now, and I seriously don't even think there's a future for me anymore because of the damage I've done to my body. I don't even know how bad it is anymore, and I seriously thought I had early arthritis because of how painful it's been. I haven't got an official diagnosis for anything yet, so I'm still waiting on that. There are so many details I'm leaving out of this story, and I could honestly make a video of me talking about it in more detail, but I think I'll just end up crying. I am very ashamed. I do want to make this story hers though. I feel like people need to understand that this shit can happen, and a few words of advice for people who still play actively this game from the soul. Depending on what type of player you are, you should always stretch the muscles you use for OSU before you start playing. Feeling sore after a good sesh is stupid as fuck. Your fingers should not even get to the point of feeling sore, LMAO. Maybe your arms after a good workout, but your fingers, bro, you need to constantly use your fingers. How are you going to use them if they are sore? Anyways, there are quite a few videos online for how to stretch your wrist, arm, fingers, whatever. Make sure you follow a tutorial that's well received and do the stretches fully, but not too hard. Any type of pain should be an immediate break. I'm sure some moderate or staff member from OSU will say there's a disclaimer forum post or whatever for people to take breaks and stretch, but the only thing I've ever seen relating to that is some little random text that appears at the bottom of the home screen when you first board up the game. That's it. If you're really spreading the message of injury prevention, you'll be making something noticeable and repetitive for people who play regularly. Maybe it's some type of time limit, like how TikTok, hate it, don't have it, has a time limit reel that tells you to take a break after you scroll too far. It shows that you care about your players, and everyone in this community being so young, injuries that happen can go under the radar. I know the random 13-year-old who hurt his wrist is not going to say anything to his parents because that'll be embarrassing if you hurt your wrist from a game. I get it. It may not be the same for everyone, but there are people out there who feel this way, and I was the same, and by the time I told them what was happening, the damage was already done. Surround yourself with people that make you happy. Don't feel like you need to hang around people that are cool or someone who's a high rank. Most of them are pieces of shit anyways. There is always a community out there that's right for you, so don't feel like you need to fix yourself to confide in others. OSU Game Discord, I'm looking at you. OSU's just a game. There will always be more time to get better. It just takes time. I made it, but I could have probably made it with no injuries in the same time or even less had I been more careful. You can always come back, take breaks when you need to. Make sure you're having fun. If you're not, then stop, find something else, don't force yourself. And don't compare yourself to others. Everyone moves at their own pace. It's just genetics, and I'm sure I could give more advice, but my hands are giving up right now, so I'm just going to end it. Holy fuck. So that was essentially the entire post right there. I know it was extremely long, but I just want to give my thoughts on it really quick. So first off, with the advice that he gives, I want to disagree with something first off, where if you feel sore when you play OSU, I think it's a good thing because it shows that you're getting stronger and better at the game. Because for example, if you're at the gym and you're going to be doing bicep curls, your biceps are going to get sore after you work them out very hard. It's the same deal with OSU, where your fingers are going to get a little sore, your forearms are going to get a little sore when you're pushing your skill cap, going to be hitting those streams. It's a good thing to be sore, but of course it's not optimal to be sore all the time. If you're sore, you don't want to really be playing if you're sore. Probably take a rest. But also, I also agree with the stretching though. The stretching is very good. And the other points that he made were just play the game for fun, and you don't have to compete with people so much that you're willing to break yourself. I really agree with those. Like, it's just a fucking game, right? It's just play for fun, man. And overall, I like the advice that he says at the end of the post, but I also just want to give my commentary about the whole story here. So it's kind of unique here, where not a lot of people are going to be doing this, where they compete with their friends to an extent that they're willing to break their entire bodies, and essentially perhaps he broke his whole nervous system with his right arm right here by playing OSU so much. So my protocol for anyone who's in this similar situation, who also has such a high OSU addiction, where everything in their life revolves around OSU, take a fucking break, right? Sometimes playlist is better. It just resets your dopamine. You're gonna have more fun the next time you play instead of just playing all the time and trying to get better than your friends. Your whole life doesn't have to be OSU. I also want to talk about the part where he feels like he has no motivation to live anymore, his purpose. So I know he's 22 years old, as he said in the post. I currently am 21, so I have a bit of solace with the person in here. So I understand a bit of the struggles here, where you're kind of feeling purposeless. You don't really know where to go. And I kind of want to give my own story. I basically fucked up in a scale similar to him here, where I thought my life was over. So if you guys don't know much about my story, so as you guys see from my facial features, my physical appearance, I didn't always used to look like this. So as you can see from my body below, I still have a lot of loose skin, a lot of fat, and it's because I used to be very fucking fat, 340 pounds, 350 pounds, right? I was morbidly obese. I don't even know how the fuck I lived, bro. I should have been on the big chungus, man. Like, I was probably Whale Lord's mom. Like, I was so fucking fat, right? And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go to the marching band because I liked marching band as a kid and in high school, and I just want to do that, right? But I fucking failed because I was fat as fuck. And because of that, I was like, okay, let's hit the gym. And I started hitting the gym, right? And I got pretty obsessed with the gym. But the thing about the gym is that I didn't really look up the proper postures and the proper forms, and I was basically trying to do deadlifts and squats, but I was fucking them up. I was doing them the retarded way, right? And as a result of that, I fucked up my back, and I had a similar situation where I had this nerve pain. So I had some bit of a sciatica or scoliosis, where I basically had a bit of my spinal disc rub into my nerves, and I would basically be hunched over like a fucking retard, and it was a lot of pain, right? Every morning I wake up and I would have this strong nerve burning pain that just ran through my back and then down my leg. It's basically some sort of really bad lower back pain, and I thought my life was over, man. Like, I lost a bit of weight at that point, but I only lost like maybe 30 pounds, and I was like, shit, maybe my life is over. Am I gonna be a cripple my whole fucking life? And I was like, shit, man, I'm so fucking tired of this. Like, I had this tirade for like 3 months, right? And I was like, well, I'm fucking done, man. I'm just gonna fix this shit, right? And what I did basically is that I did walking remedies where I walked around my block, and what that would do is that my body posture would automatically correct itself after I did a couple steps, so like 1,000 steps. And it hurt a lot at first, right? But I was like, you know, everything, the pain is just in the inside. My body outside looks completely fine. I'm gonna push through this pain and I'm gonna fix it. And I basically did that for a couple of days, a few weeks, and I fixed myself. And my story there of redemption is that, hey man, maybe you're fucked up right now with your right arm, your fingers, but let's take a broader perspective here. You're still 22, and it's still an extremely younger age, and you still have 80 years of life, perhaps, if you live to 100. You're only at a 20% of your life here. Your life isn't over. And I understand at a point here where it seems like you're at your extreme low point here. I also used to be in that similar extreme low point, but you just have to push through, man. And besides that, you also have to be grateful for what you have right now. Maybe you fucked up with all of the problems. You have all these problems here, but let's be grateful for what we have right here. Maybe it's just the right arms, right? But let's look at our other body parts. Well, we still have our neck, we still have our torso, we still have our abs, we still have our legs, we still have our glutes, we still have our feet, we still have our toes, we still have all of our other body parts. Maybe we can use those other body parts to play OC. Okay, jokes, don't fucking play OC if you have this bad relationship. I mean, there's some very good toe players like Tosu out here who'd be doing that, but if you have this bad relationship with OC that you're going to be playing for toes, don't fucking do that, right? But you have your other body parts, and you could probably work those out, and you probably won't be a cripple for the rest of your life. You could strengthen the other body parts in your body. What I'm really trying to say here is that, hey man, life sucks right now, like the Leia Kate map, but you have to keep pushing, because what else can you really do, right? Are you just gonna grovel here and just say, yeah, I'm fucked? Well, it certainly sucks, the situation that you're in here, but you have to keep working and keep going to the physical therapy and just try to recover yourself. And like, if I were to recommend an action plan for you personally, like, it seems like that you are just in this physical recovery phase where you have to recover your fingers. So get that shit out of the way. And I know that you played OSU a lot. You got a lot of that addiction in. And now you're kind of fucked with the job market. We're like, hey, I can't even get a job because I was fucking up my whole life playing OSU because I wanted to compete with my friends. Well, now after you get your physical recovery done, like, that's the first thing you got to take out of the way. Then you can move on to the computer science. Maybe you do some fucking licenses or some shit, start applying like fucking crazy, go get that career started up. Like, it's not too late. Your life is not over. You're still 22. Maybe you're at this downfall here. I've been at this fucking downfall many times in my life. I've been a fucking loser for the majority of my fucking life, and I still think I am. And you know, you just have to keep fucking going, right? You just, at the end of the day, what else can you fucking do? Are you just gonna keep groveling on the ground here and just die off? Well, that's just my method. That's my advice, I would say. But I don't know. It's definitely a pretty sad situation here with the OSU addiction. This is not even about OSU anymore. It's just beyond that, where, you know, everyone's gonna have a low point in their life, and you just have to keep going. You can't just stop there and just take it all down. When you're at the bottom of the bottom, you just have to keep going. But that's pretty much all I wanted to say in this video about this story here. I know this was pretty long. It's kind of a yap, but I don't know. I just read this post on Reddit, and I was just kind of looking for content ideas, and I just read the whole thing, and it kind of touched me, and I was like, yeah, I need to talk about this, because I feel like it's just a message a lot of people have to hear, where a lot of people are going to be in their down parts, but what can you really do except keep pushing through the pain and just try to flourish through it and just break through it? But yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say, and I'll see y'all.